Welcome. All right. Okay. Thank you. Everyone have their seat, please. This is, we call it in the unification movement, a Songwa ceremony. I call it a homegoing, which we all will go someday. So when our turn comes, and our time comes to leave the physical realm and go into the spiritual realm, you can leave a request before you leave of what you want to happen at your Sangwa or your homegoing. The good thing about Dennis and Nancy, they plotted this program before he left to make sure that everything would go wonderfully and beautifully. And specifically, he didn't want us to feel gloom and sad and crying and weeping and wailing. He wanted us to be happy and be glad because he'll see you soon. That was supposed to have been funny, right? Okay, all right. One thing for sure, nobody get out of here alive. Okay. So we have an opening prayer by Reverend Ernest Patter.
Well, it's an honor to be with you all and a real joy to see so many people who love Dennis gathering to really celebrate his life. Nancy, Andrew, the family, Dennis, Dorothy, and James. Yeah, we're grateful that we could share this time together, and I'd like to offer just a short prayer to begin the ceremony. Beloved Heavenly Parent, loving true parents, we're gathered here to celebrate the life and the love that Dennis Fellens has invested for so many decades into his family, his friends, his co-workers, and of course, his love of golf and the people who could share that with him. We're grateful that the people gathered here could be able to experience the love that Dennis was able to share, understanding more about God's original love and God's hope for every family to become a center of true love and true life. We pray that this time together we can really celebrate his life, honor him, and also comfort the family so that they feel that the love that Dennis has created is able to be multiplied and shared throughout the world. We ask your guidance and blessing on every speaker here, on every participant in the ceremony. We offer all this in the name of Ernest and Keiko, the Patton Blessed Central family. Amen and adieu.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Patton. Reverend Patton, in any other church, would be considered a bishop. He is the leader of all of the churches from Washington all the way to Florida, and he's working very hard in that field. He's the greatest, humblest man I've ever met, other than God and Jesus. I really respect him, so thank you very much, Reverend Patton. Now we have a congregational song, Morning Has Broken. Those of you who know how to sing it, let's sing it together. Who? It's on your cell phone? Oh, it's on your cell phone. Oh, my wife is giving me instructions. Turn off your cell phones. Please, please.
Morning has broken.
Everybody stand, please.
Like the first morning, that word has spoken like the first bird. the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. The rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Minus the sunlight, minus the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new world. Morning has broken like the first morning, blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word.
Please be seated. I'm scheduled to sing a song, and I hope I can get through it okay. So, when Dennis was one of his bad days early in the morning and nobody was able to sleep, not even him, he called me and asked me to sing a song. And it said it calmed him down. These are 3 songs into one, and it's all about prayer. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer that calls me from a world of care and bids me at my Father's throne take all my wants and wishes known. I come to thee on bended knees, repenting for all my sins indeed. Please hear my prayer, O Lord, please care for me, your Son, sweet hour of prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory. 서른 눈통길 구매 나선 눈통길 통길 요소라 통길이요 오라 이 결의 서른 눈통길 이나나 쳐는 대통일 통일 요소라 통일이요 오라 sweet of prayer, sweet of prayer that calls me from this world of care and bids me at my Father's throne take all my wants and wishes known. A Jew, as you say in Korea. Thank you. I hope Dennis enjoyed that. Okay, now we will have the next Dennis on the scene. When I first met this Dennis Jr., he was just maybe 7, 8 years old. And I was so proud to take him and Dorothy on their first ride in the subway. And we came to Washington, D.C. It was a great, great moment for me as much as it was for them. And I really enjoyed that. It's nice to have an uncle who can do something for their nieces and nephews for the first time. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dennis Jr.
So I'm going to do a little bio for him. I'm not much of a speaker, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Dennis Felons was born at Edgewood, Arsenal, Maryland on November 16th, 1941. He was the third of 6 children. He had 2 older sisters, Dorothy Felons and Jeannie Felons Byrne, followed by 3 younger siblings, a sister, Andre, and 2 brothers, Buzz and John. His father was career military, and he always looked forward to the adventures of living in many different places. His favorite base was Fort Monroe, Virginia, located on the Chesapeake Bay, where at 14 he learned to play golf. Golf became his lifelong passion. He eventually became a PGA teaching pro and taught golf as a side career for well over 20 years. At age 19, he entered the military as an academy prep student where he studied for 2 years, followed by a year at the University of Utah, after which he enlisted in the Army. He served for 3 years, including a tour in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, in the 101st Airborne Screaming Eagles, where he trained as a paratrooper. His experience as a paratrooper left him with a lifelong fear of flying, and he never willingly flew anywhere again if he could drive or take a train. After an honorable discharge, he decided he wanted to give his life to God. He joined a Catholic seminary, the Oblates of Mary Immaculate, in San Antonio, Texas. During his summer break in May of 1967, while staying in Virginia with his sister Dorothy, he met Nancy Allen, a stewardess with United Airlines, who wanted to be a nun. He decided he'd rather have a wife than a priest, than be a priest. In the fall of 1967, Dennis and Nancy were married in the Catholic Church with Claire Allen Daugherty, Nancy's younger sister, as her maid of honor. By 1973, he was the father of 2 children, Dennis, myself, and Dorothy, and also had custody of Nancy's youngest sister, Mimi Allen Dempsey. At the time, they were living in Arlington, Virginia, when Claire Allen Daugherty introduced them to the Unification Church. They joined as a family, which included Dennis's sister, Jeannie Fellons Byrne, becoming the original home members, serving while maintaining their families and homes. His career included pioneering the computer field as a computer programmer and systems analyst, working for Control Data, Amtrak, the U.S. Congress, Florida Power and Light, and finishing his career by returning to Capitol Hill and the Office of House Information Systems. He led the team that changed the voting system on the representative side from a paper vote to a computerized vote that was instantly public. In 1989, after 21 years of marriage, he was given 3 days' notice that he and Nancy were eligible for a special marriage blessing. They received a special blessing from Reverend and Mrs. Sung Young Moon on April 7th at the New Yorker Hotel. On August 30th, 1990, they had a son, Andrew Allen Fellons. On May 1st, 2022, Dennis ascended, leaving behind his wife of 55 years, Nancy, his 3 children, Dennis, Dorothy, and Andrew, who is blessed to grace, and his foster son, Ryan, as well as 5 grandchildren, Tristan, Anya Lee, Lisa, Seva, and Misha. Every one of them was precious to him in a unique way. Thanks.
I think the moment we've been waiting for to see how he got along in life. So you take a sneak preview of Dennis' life. Now we have our slide presentation of this man that we all admired. Dennis was an amazing man for me, and one lesson he taught me when I'd go over his house, he would so easily clean up and put the dishes in the dishwasher. And I just thought, wow, that's amazing. Because I always have a problem putting dishes in the dishwasher. I was telling my wife the other day, when I was a young boy, we had chamber pots in our home. We didn't have indoor toilet. When she was a young girl, she had a dishwasher. We are light years apart in concepts, right? So I just admired him, how he would so nicely and put everything away, and it taught me a great lesson that I should also do the same. Because I like washing the dishes. That's the way I was raised. And my wife gets so upset with me because I won't put the dishes in the dishwasher. So I learned from Dennis, put the dishes in the dishwasher. Now, this young lady you're about to hear is Nancy's sister and also Nancy's mother, because she witnessed to Nancy and brought her into the church. She's also my wife and my mother. And we have grown so well together. And I loved her name, but she doesn't like for me to call it, but I call it every chance I get. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Reverend Claire Christine Allen Doherty.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to see you here. And in this room, there are only 3 people who have known Dennis longer than I have. And that's his sister Jeannie, his brother Bruz, and his wife Nancy. I've known Dennis for 55 years, and I'm really honored that I was given this job to do the eulogy. I don't know if you're familiar with 1 Corinthians 14. Everyone's heard 1 Corinthians 13 about the attributes of love. But 1 Corinthians 14 is about the spiritual gifts. And St. Paul said that we should strive for them. Well, I have lots of them. They run in the family. And there was a movie not recently, years back, in your reality, you young people, called The Sixth Sense. And the little boy said, I hear dead people. Well, I hear dead people, but they're not really dead. As I was praying and asking God, what shall I say about Dennis? The first thing that came to me, and it sounded like Dennis, and he said it 3 times, tell them that I am alive. So I'm telling you, he's alive. He really is. His physical body is not, but the man that we all knew and loved as Dennis Fellens is very much alive. And he passed on Sunday afternoon at 3:03, and he has been chatting with us nonstop, telling us jokes. And sometimes we get the same joke at the same time. And we're just walking around the house spontaneously laughing. And anyone else would think we're just all very, very mentally ill to laugh at nothing. But Dennis said, my peeps over here really envy me because they're trying to comfort their families, and as they're weeping and mourning and grieving, and say, it's okay, I'm alive, you're going to see me again, I'm alive. And he said, you guys not only hear me, there are 3 mediums here, you laugh at my jokes. It was a little awkward when we were in the funeral home making the arrangements, because sometimes one of us would just try to stifle a laugh, and the other 2 wanted to know, what did he say? Dennis was grateful that God gave him 80 years. He was grateful because he had a long, full life, But also he had time towards the end to really reflect on his life and to make amends wherever he felt he needed to. He also had the chance to gather those who loved him most and who he loved most and say his goodbyes and how much he loved them. I was there when his brother Bruz came up from Florida. That's a long drive. And I could just see what a precious gift. And Jeannie, who doesn't drive and needed a driver, came. And all of his children came. Andrew and Grace moved in for 3 months. So those final months were very rich in family relationships and the chance to really express the love that they shared. And he could tell each one what they had meant to him. Dennis knew that love was a verb. In addition to his own 3 biological children, he raised 2 other children, Ryan and Mimi. He had custody of Mimi, and he had finally raised his oldest children to adulthood, a time that many look forward to the freedom of not having children in the house. And Ryan came into his life, and with no hesitation, he said yes, because he felt it was God's will. Ryan, I want you to know that he was divinely inspired, and Ryan has been a part of this family and Ryan's children for 33 years now. This is the eulogy, so I'm supposed to talk in spiritual terms and Genesis' spiritual journey, which started in the Catholic Church. He was raised as a Catholic and was very proud of the fact that he was an altar boy. And one family story is that he, as a child, walked through a blizzard to serve Mass because that was his commitment. Jeannie shared with Nancy that they used to play Holy Communion with Necco wafers. You already heard that he planned to be a priest, but obviously God had other plans. When he had completed his first year in the seminary, studying for the priesthood, he was, as you heard in his bio, visiting his sister Dorothy, visiting his elder sister Dorothy, and he met Nancy and realized that God had another calling on his life, to be a husband and father. And Nancy always says how thrilled his mother was that he was not going to be a priest because she was looking for grandchildren. And she got plenty of them. They were married in 1967 in the Catholic Church. And Dennis decided the night of their wedding that his journey with Catholicism was complete. And his new church became the Church of St. Andrew, the patron saint of golf. This was a family joke that golf was his religion. But as I've been meditating on this and talking to many of his golf buddies, I realized it wasn't a joke. It was very serious, that the golf course is where he really had his conversations with God. The first 20 years, well, let's finish the golf, because I was going to say that later, but actually what Dennis shared with me spiritually is that golf was where he challenged himself. Golf was where he could always do better, challenge himself. It's a game that, played well, requires absolute integrity and honesty. It's a gentleman's sport in the true sense of the word. And it was for him a kind of monastic discipline. The first 20 years of his life, of his marriage, Dennis worked very, very hard. He had an impeccable work ethic. He not only worked a full-time job, pioneering the computer field, as you heard, but he often had a second job. And then he had his religious reset on the golf course. And consequently, Dennis and Dorothy didn't see a lot of him growing up. And God gave him round 2 with Andrew. And he really became completely a hands-on dad. And he reflected, it's not that he didn't do anything, he didn't do anything wrong. He worked hard so his children could be educated and have the financial security that every man wants to provide, so that Nancy could stay home with the children. But he realized that he missed a lot. And so when Andrew was born, he was almost 50, and it was like having his own grandchild. And when Andrew was 5, he became a grandfather. So Andrew's nieces and nephews are more like cousins in the same generation. Now, in 1973, Nancy was more the religious one of the family in the traditional sense. As I said, Dennis found God on the golf course. In 1973, as you heard in the bio, they had a chance to receive the special marriage blessing, which was very significant, and there were many conditions that had to be met, which he did willingly, because he always supported Nancy, and whatever she wanted, if it was possible, he would do it. They got a divine surprise from this marriage blessing, and he's sitting right in front of me. When Andrew was 7, Dennis retired from his career on Capitol Hill with some regret. Not that he was retiring, but he had finally worked his way up to get a parking spot in the Capitol. And he was very reluctant to leave it. He'd worked many years to get that parking spot. But Nancy, by this time, was back to work full-time, and she was often gone for 3 days at a time, flying overseas. And Dennis didn't want to miss anything with Andrew. I remember when Andrew was an infant, every twitch that Andrew made was on camcorder. Of course, that didn't exist when Dennis and Dorothy were babies, but there's quite an archive, Andrew. I don't know if you've seen it, but when you first sat up, when you burped, when you spit, everything was recorded. In taking care of Andrew, and shortly after becoming a grandparent, Andrew really understood the heart of God. I mean, not Andrew, Dennis, and hopefully passed it on to Andrew, who we're hoping will be a father before too long. No pressure there. God is a parent. He's our father. And I would say our mother too. He made us all in male and female, so that's what he must be. She must be. They must be. This is where I saw incredible growth of the heart in Dennis as he had this second chance at fatherhood. I think they ate a lot of pizza while Nancy was traveling. He didn't ever learn to cook, but he was a super-duper dad. And since Andrew, even though he has siblings, the age difference is so vast, True Son was his part-time brother. That's my son, who they're just a few months apart. And True Son shares those memories with Andrew of going to the skate park and doing all the cool things that Dennis could do with him because he was retired. Dennis was very thrifty. He didn't like to spend money unnecessarily, but he was also very generous. He was generous and he shared the material blessings in his life, but he really was willing to go outside of his comfort zone when he saw someone who really needed his help. He opened his home to several people as adults, and Nancy will share a little bit about that with you. He was an introvert. He was a very private person, but he would rise to the occasion. And I know that the traffic conditions have been horrific, but I think 2 of his African daughters will be here today. They joined his family as adults, and one of his African sons, Zachary, is in North Carolina at his niece's graduation. He was devastated that he couldn't be here. I personally am really, really grateful for Dennis's generosity, because for about 10 years now, he's supported the work that my husband Levi and I have been doing in Haiti with the Kingmaker Foundation. In fact, if you go on his tribute page, everlycommunity.com, that's the designated charity. We told them, take your gift shop off. We don't want your $40 trees, because Dennis would have said, what a waste of money. He said a few choice things that I won't share right now. If you're interested, ask me privately as we were making the arrangements. He made it very clear he didn't want any frills. He didn't want anything fancy. He wanted people to come together, have a good time, and above all, know that he is still alive. Thank you.
His daughter, Dorothy, to give us a rendition of musical rendition. I don't know if you ever had the opportunity to hear Dennis play the piano. He was quite good at it, and that was a surprising talent trait. You ready, Dorothy? Okay.
Randy, are you ready with the slide, with the book? Let's give them a minute. Hi, I'm Dorothy, and I'm really grateful to see everybody here. I know many of you drove, actually, for several days to be here, so thank you. So I'm gonna read this little booklet that I put together in the last days with my dad, because it makes me feel better when I have something to do. So some of you are nodding your head, so maybe you understand that. And my friend Katusha here, we've been friends for decades. If I have an emotional breakdown, she's gonna take over reading for me, okay? And my dad, I don't know if my dad would like this book. I never showed it to him. He might think it's a little too precious. Like, Dad is not very precious. So, but this is what I wrote, not my dad. Okay, so the book is called Time to Go, A Journey Through Death with My Dad. Sorry, it's kind of small. Hello, this little book has been created as I sit by my dearest dad's bedside. You may call it his deathbed, but that sounds ghastly. As you read, I hope that whatever you're going through, it comforts you. I think death must be taking a holiday, because I can't imagine how Dad can still hang on to the tiny wisps remaining on this side of life. Now and again, he flutters into lucidity, like a baby bird alighting on the window ledge, usually just long enough to squeeze my hand and tell me how warm I feel. I am lucky. I can share these sacred, quiet moments with him and be his witness as he prepares to leave his body and venture onward. Yet it's hard to endure at times to see my powerful protector, my rock, my beloved dad in pain and slipping away. Yet again, I guess I am lucky once more, because death feels oddly familiar to me, like an old friend even. You could say we have a lifelong partnership. He doesn't scare me, and I can always feel when he is near. Let me try to explain how we got to know one another so intimately. First, I nearly died as a newborn baby. Then I was a medic and was present as many people passed from this world into the next. Third, we brushed sleeves again when my hot air balloon crashed, and somewhere in the time in between, I nearly drowned. Later, you see, I died, briefly, of course, but it was the single most extraordinarily beautiful experience of my entire life. What I can tell you with certainty is that words can only feebly hint at what joy awaits us on the other side of the veil, and points us home to knowing what divine play this world right here is filled with, if only we open our hearts to the limitless beings we already are. Dear reader, if you are facing death now in any of his many forms, take comfort. You are not alone, and you are well equipped for the entirety of this journey. I sense we are more connected to one another than any of us could ever dream. Look, you found this tiny little book somehow, and now we're together. We will all, sooner or later, throw off the cloak of humanness and return to being gods. Between now and then, perhaps we can begin to dance barefoot in the holy fire that we call life. Much love to you, Dorothy. Why are you so calm? He asks me. Because I died once, and it was beautiful, I say. I wish I could do it every day. It's quiet here. The house is full of angels. Dogs and small children see them. Now Dad sees them too. He said an angel is sitting on the stairs, just waiting patiently. Does he have wings, I ask. Yeah, I think they're folded, he says. Today is Good Friday. You're tired, rest, I say. I'm afraid to go to sleep. I may never wake up, he whispers. It's safe to go to sleep now, Dad. You'll be free again. You are a light in the dark, he says, then adds, and you're still so cute, it's unbearable. Maybe he still sees in me the little girl looking up at him adoringly. All shall be well, all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Julian of Norwich. Dad's lying on the sofa, gaunt and yellow from the sickness that's consuming him. He shields his face from the spring sun rays beaming through the open window. Where are we going? Are the cars here yet? He asks, restless, followed directly by, we have to go. He's trying to stand on legs that don't hold him any longer. It's time to go, he insists, without bossing. A pause. He looks out into the distance, eyes wide and watching. You're seeing something, I ask. As he scans the horizon that only looks like a living room wall to me, yes, it's beautiful, he responds. His crystal blue eyes gaze into me, then beyond. Who is that, he asks, straining to see. Now he's focused out there again. Who do you see, I ask. His finger moves slightly left. My mother, he says, and she's young. Later, I feed him bits of watermelon and sips of Easter tea from my own silver baby spoon, and we make each other laugh. Am I still in this dream? He asks me. Yes, and you're going to wake up soon. So let me scratch your back now, I tell him. Your dream skin is so itchy. I am ready, he says. One by one, I tell him the things I love about him. I wish I'd been a better dad, he says. You were just what I needed, I say. Tell me more, he says. You were always there for my little bunnies. Now my little bunnies are bigger than me. He's still making us laugh, even as his body crumbles. Lucky, the goldfish, watches on as days turn into nights, turn into days. Dad, you taught me so much, mostly without saying a word. The tree who withstands the storm becomes only stronger. Say yes when you feel yes, then figure out the how later. The secret to golf is to watch how an elephant swings its trunk, he told my brother Dennis. Ride your pony bareback, Tootsies, and don't worry about what anyone else thinks, he told me. Stand up for yourself and for those who can't. Have a blessed day, said my brother's wife, and don't take no shit from nobody. Don't trust people who promise too much, he said. Actions speak louder than words. Thank you, Dad, for bringing Ryan into our family when he didn't have a family of his own, and not being bothered that he is black and white, but seeing that he was just an orphan who needed love too. I wanted to be so many things. You showed me it was enough just to be me. You jumped out of airplanes even though you're afraid of heights. Thank you for teaching me to take risks. Your eyes are bluer than ever. I love Andrew so much, he said of my baby brother. He's just fantastic. Even though I know you're going to a perfect place, it's hard to say goodbye. Where am I going, he asks. I'm sorry, there's a mistake on this page. Where am I going, he asks. Oh, I'm sorry, where am I, he asks. In your house, I tell him. Where am I going, he asks. You're going home, Dad, I say, and I'll be seeing you. He'd been asleep all day. As the sun set, he began to moan. Dad, what can I get you? A few hugs and kisses, he murmured.
I'm afraid I may drown in my own tears when you're really gone from this place. But you would tell me to put my bathing suit on and swim.
Let go. I'll try again. Anyhow, true blood. Soon your ashes will be in Arlington Cemetery, but your spirit will be with me always. It's time to go, he said. Goodbye for now, dear Dad. May I play my flute now? Is it okay? I just have to get in. I just have a short song for you. I'm not sure how this goes with the microphone. Where should I stand? With the flute? Maybe just sit down somewhere? So, those of you who know my dad well know that he Hello. Is it working? Yeah. Thank you. They know that he loved music very, very much, and I play the classical flute, but I actually just wanted to play a simple song for you on the Native American flute.
So now, I was going to call on Jeannie. Here's your glasses, love. Okay. And instead I'll call on Braz. Buzz. Braz. Come on. All right. Oops, sorry.
You can tell us the origin of your name. Your name's Braz, I guess.
Yeah.
Not really. Yeah. For some reason, I'm Lloyd Jr., even though I was the second son. Never figured that out. But I got the nickname Braz because my dad grew up in Hawaii, and the Hawaiian kids could not say Lloyd. They said Royd. So they started calling him Bros, and that turned into B-R-U-Z somehow over the years. But his nickname became Pee-wee later. So when I was born, I got the nickname Braz, and I've had to live with it ever since. So, hey, I want to take you back about 65 years. When I was 10, and Dennis was 15 and a half. 5 years doesn't seem like much when you're in your 70s or 60s, but back then that was a lot. That was a lot of time. And I actually hated Dennis back then because he could be really mean. I'll give you an example. We lived in Edgewood, Maryland, and we had set up a little BB gun range in the basement of the house we were living in. And we were down there with some of his friends, and he said, "Hey, Braz, why don't you pack a bunch of paper in your back pocket, your right hand back pocket, and we'll see if you feel anything when I shoot it." I shoot it with a BB gun. So being 10 years old, I said, what the heck? So I put all kinds of tissue and cardboard back there, and I kind of bent over a little bit, and he shot me point blank in the left pocket. And that kind of says it all. It was like that for a long time. I think what brought us together later on was golf, our love of golf. And we went, along with Johnny, our little brother, we had many endless golf trips over the years, and we would go to far off places. We never lived near each other, for a long time. We would go see Johnny in Phoenix or in Austin, Texas, or they'd come down to Florida because I got free golf down there. So, and we went to Myrtle Beach and Hilton Head. Some really funny stories. A really good one, Mark Carter was there. This was in Myrtle Beach, and we were playing, and Dennis developed the shanks. And if you're a golfer, you know that's like the worst possible thing that can happen to you. So we all commiserated. We felt we were trying to give him little tips on how not to shank the ball. So the next morning, we went to a golf shop, and Dennis bought a shankless wedge. That was going to be the ultimate answer. So the first time he used it, right around the first green we played later that day, he shanked the ball all the way around the green. And we just died laughing. It was great. But he eventually got over that. But when I think of Dennis, another thing I wanted to mention. Once Johnny passed away, it was about 5 years ago, we started talking to each other more and more over the phone, because that was kind of like a bolt of lightning striking. We realized that we're not going to last forever. So we would talk for 45 minutes or an hour, and we usually talk after one of us had played a round of golf, and we would go into great detail about what we did on each hole, what we shot, what we were thinking. I mean, no one else in the world would give a damn but Dennis and me. And we would, share thoughts, and he would give me tips. He was always trying to help me. And so I'm so glad we did that, because that was great. We talked several times a week from then on. And I know Dennis is up there with Johnny right now, and they're probably playing right now. And my only thought is just keep it a twosome for now. I'm not ready to join them yet, but eventually I will. But thanks, that's all I got.
Always, brother stories are always so dangerous. And thank you for that. So I'm going to, at this time, call Andrew up. He needs a minute? Okay. We'll just wait. Just take your time. We have no particular place to go. Andrew is quite a advanced guitar player, and he taught himself, Mom, it's okay, it's all right, let it flow. You ready? You ready, Dennis? Yeah, come on. Yes, let's do it.
Ad hoc, improvise, right? Am I speaking a little bit too? Whatever I want to do? All right. So, for everyone here who spent any amount of time, thank you, with my dad, you would probably know that my dad's way of dealing with anything difficult or uncomfortable or related to any kind of conflict was to immediately try to make everyone laugh. That was his whole thing, Everything is a joke. Doesn't matter how serious it is. Laughing just makes it better. So, I had a really long time to think about what I want to do when I get up here for 2 minutes, because I drove from Arkansas, which is like, I don't know, it's like another country in more ways than one, but And I realized that, like, I was thinking, like, all this deep nonsense, whatever. But my dad wouldn't want any of that. He was, you could try to get deep with him, and maybe every once in a while you get a nugget of gold. But really, he just wanted to joke. He wanted things to be light. He wanted things to be fun. He wanted things to not be boring. So, yeah, anyway, that's what he'd want. Also, so anyway, I'm going to play a song real quick. I might sing. I might not be able to. We'll see. I get emotional. Music makes me teary, so it's just the way it is. I got it. This is a song that we both like a lot. I have to move this. Y'all can move it back later. But it's called... It's called Shape of My Heart. This is a song by Sting. And I used to just, towards the end of his life, when I was staying with him, I would just sit and play guitar for him at night, and he would say, "Oh, don't stop, don't stop." That was also his go-to thing for back rubs. Don't stop. It's funny, like, as I was walking through my mom's house, different objects that you see will bring up different emotions or memories, and by far, the thing that triggered my memories the most is I saw his back scratcher. I was like, oh man, what's more like my dad than a back scratcher? He would have that all the time watching golf. Hey, do you know where my back scratcher is? I actually bought him a new one because he actually managed to break a back scratcher on his back. Like, it cracked in half. Anyway, yeah, he was very dedicated to that. So at any rate, ooh, okay, this is called Shape of My Heart. I usually sit down when I play, but yeah. It's alright. I'd have to adjust everything at this point. Okay, there we go. Alright, it's a little awkward to play standing like this, but... Oh, you know what? I know you meant the lower one, but I'm just gonna feel like Johnny Cash. All right.
Sing cards at a meditation. Those that he plays never forget. He doesn't play for the money he wins. He doesn't play it for respect. He deals the cards to find the answer. Sacred geometry of chance, the hidden law of a probable outcome. The numbers lead a dance.
Sorry, it's a little weird to play like that.
I know that the spades are the swords of the soldiers. Know that the clubs are weapons of war. I know that diamonds mean money for this art. That's not the shape of my heart. You can play the jack of diamonds. You may lay the queen of spades. You may conceal the king in his hand while the memory of it fades. I know that the spades are the swords of the soldier. Know that the clubs are weapons of war. I know that diamonds mean money for this art. That's not the shape of my heart. That's not the shape the shape of my heart.
Thank you. It's a little rougher than I expected, but whatever. You get the gist. So the one other thing that I feel is really, really important, and they kind of set me up for this. Thank you, Aunt Claire. You did a great job, actually, because I wanted to talk about this anyway. The one thing my dad expressed to me, and I don't know how aware Dorothy and Dennis are of this, but I think it's important for them to hear, especially now. But the one thing my dad expressed to me ever, you know, I had to ask the question. I had a lot of time with him as he was passing, and I said, Dad, what do you regret the most? And he said, I regret that I wasn't a better father to Dennis and Dorothy, and that he said, I wanted to fix that with you. You were my chance,
And he did. That's all.
There's one advantage of getting old. Now that I'm 76 years old. I'll be 76 May the 22nd. One advantage is that you can see your nieces and nephews grow up to be great men and women. And it's such a pleasing vibration that comes from that. And so it helps you to feel like, even though I'm the uncle, I feel ownership. It's such a wonderful feeling. Now, this young lady I'm about to call up now, I met her before I met my wife. I met her in Richmond, Virginia. And I honestly thought maybe she might be my wife someday, but it didn't turn out that way. But we became very, very good friends, and I used to go over her house, and we'd study and read the Bible and do all kinds of things. And she turned out to be just someone very, very special, and that is Jeannie Fellons Barons. Would you come up, Jeannie? You have your ukulele? You see, the whole family is very musical. Yeah. Come on, Jeannie. We might need some help to fix these microphones.
I'm supposed to say something about Dennis.
Okay, you want a microphone, right?
You already know about the Holy Communion. You've already heard that one, right? We used to, lived in this mansion, if you can believe it. Well, my dad was the commanding officer of this Fort Detrick. And Dennis and I would go up on like the third floor. There was like a ballroom in the attic. That's how big it was. And we'd play Holy Communion. But I outranked him, so I got to be first. You were the priest? Huh? You were the priest? I was the priest. And another memory I have of him is at Fort Bragg. One day I came home, I was in junior high. I don't know how old he was, and he was playing the piano. I said, Dennis, that's great. What is it? He said, I call it Moonlight Snot, but that's because I don't know it all. So I'm playing you a song. That's all. I mean, I got a million of them, but.
One more? Can you play one more?
Which one do they want?
Anyone. The Titanic, Nancy asked for.
Oh, the wayward wind is a restless wind, a restless wind that yearns to wander, and he was born the next of kin, the next of kin to the wayward wind. In a lonely shack by a railroad track, he spent his younger days, but I guess the sound of the outward bound made him a slave to his wandering ways. This one went off here. The wayward wind is a restless wind that yearns to wander, and he was born the next of kin, the next of kin to the wayward wind. Sorry about that. I'm horrible.
Thank you. All right. Mimi, are you ready? Okay. Come on down.
Hi, everybody. I really feel Dennis's spirit, especially when Jeannie just sang. And just to hear your laugh, Jeannie, and to see your face. Sorry. And excuse the mask, but it's for your good. So I was thinking about what to say, and I'm going to make it short because you've been listening a lot. But I wanted to tell you that I met Dennis when I was 8 years old, and he's been in my life ever since. And there are very few people that have had more impact in the direction of my life than Dennis Fellons. So, but I'd like to tell you that when I think of Dennis, I think of corny jokes. And so let's just be honest, okay? I have two jokes that one he told me when I was a teenager that I never forgot. And it was this. I was singing and he said, "Why don't you sing solo? Solo, we can't hear you." And then he would laugh, "Oh," or 10 or 20 miles away. So, and then I remember one recently, and it's funny, but I have not forgotten these two quintessential dad jokes. "Her teeth were like the stars. they came out at night. And so, yes, those are the two dad jokes. Let's also be honest and say that Dennis could be cranky. We all knew that about him. However, Dennis had a heart of gold. We also knew that about him. And Dennis changed the course of my life when I was 13 years old by taking me into his home. Andrew, when your dad was your age, he took responsibility for me, and I was 13. I was a young teenager, so. He was given a small amount of money to raise me from my own father. And I will forever be grateful to him, because it was my sister who brought me into her home, but if he had not accepted me with his whole heart, it would not have happened. So, but Dennis didn't just change the course of my life, he changed the course of many people's lives. And we've talked about how Dennis was not particularly religious, but I would like to challenge each person in this room right now by asking you, not about what you believe, because honestly, that's not going to change anybody's life, but what have you done to help another person? And that's what I'd really like to leave you with. And I want to tell you to be more like Dennis. And it doesn't matter what you say, but it does matter what you do. And Dennis brought so many people into his life. I don't know anybody that has done more for others than my own sister and Dennis. And so that's just all I'd like to say. He changed my life, and he's changed so many other people's lives. So if I could leave you with anything, I would say go forward and think about what you can do physically for another person. And so thank you very much.
All right. Mark, are you ready? Bring your 9 club, please. Mark Carter. Then his brother in golf.
Hi. That's okay. That's fine, thank you. I'm Mark Carter, and I met Dennis at East Potomac Golf Course here in D.C. right after he had moved back in 1988. We hit it off immediately and began a 34-year golf friendship. Dennis was a wonderful person. He was a great golfer and a great golf teacher. And until I came here tonight, I didn't know that he was also a great musician. But I should have, because he used to beat me like a drum on the golf course. He had lots of golfing friends. A few of them are here tonight, sitting back here on the back row. And I want to thank all of them for coming here today to celebrate Dennis's life. Dennis loved golf, and he especially loved playing golf with his brothers, Bruz and Johnny. Bruz brought this up already. I was fortunate to join them on a few trips. I think, though, that I was invited because they felt sorry for me. We would play team matches, and since we weren't equal in ability, we would have to have ratings in order to set the teams. Of course, Johnny was the A player. Dennis was the B player. Bruz was the C player. They usually just skipped over D and went right to F when it came to me. So. But I always enjoyed, and it was always a pleasure to be a part of their camaraderie and brotherly competition. And there was definitely competition, because as anyone who has ever played golf with Dennis knows, he did not like to lose at golf. So, and he rarely did, so, except when he got the shanks, right? So, as much as Dennis loved golf, he loved his family more. He was always bragging about his children, his grandchildren, his sisters, and his brothers. He was so proud of all of them. And did you know that his wife, Nancy, is absolutely beautiful and that she's the best cook Dennis ever knew? I know that because Dennis used to tell me that every time we played golf. May you all cherish your memories of Dennis as much as I will cherish mine. Thank you.
Due to the weather, Manje's could have not here yet, but her sister's here, Talia. And Talia wants to say a word. Is it okay? Talia, where is she? Manje? Oh, you wait. Come on up. Come on down. All right. These are Dennis' adopted children. They made it. Let's give them a hand. All the way from Africa. Come on.
Good afternoon. Our names are Nyondo Felens. We are the Nyondos, but we are the Felens. Our American parents were the Felens and have always been our American parents. It's sad that we had to come when Dennis is gone. I just landed here on Monday. So I've only been here 4 days. I left my country when the day that Dennis passed on. I would have loved to have been here and see him in person, but it never worked that way. So I'm glad that we are here to say bye to him together. And I left this country about 25 years ago. Am I right, Nancy? So I haven't been here, but it's sad that I have to come when Dennis is gone. I prayed that I'll find him, but it never worked. So we are the Nyondos, and we were in Dennis' house, the whole lot of us. Mm-hmm. Stayed in Dennis' house, joked with him, had a life through him, because without him we wouldn't have settled, or my siblings wouldn't have settled in the U.S. He welcomed us in his home. He did whatever he could. We were so free in his house. To this day, I remember so many things about Dennis, though it's been years and years, but I still remember him as a person who welcomed us in his house. And like I think Mimi said, we should always ask ourselves, what have we done for others? And for us, Dennis did something for us, and yes, here we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I also just wanted to say thank you, Dennis. For 5 years, I stayed with Nancy, and I helped raise Andrew. It was the best time of my life. I always think about all the wonderful memories that we had, and I'll never, ever forget you. You changed my life. Thank you.
My name is Christine. I came here and because Dennis was living with my sister was living with Dennis and Nancy, they welcomed me in their home. They didn't even know me. They welcomed me in their home like they were related to me. And that really meant a lot. And I don't think I've ever truly said thank you to Nancy. You're a gem. And I really appreciate it. And it shouldn't take somebody dying for us to appreciate them the way we should have appreciated them. And I thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Dennis, for welcoming me into your home. Thank you.
I'm the mother to the 3 girls. I know Nancy, to me, has been my sister because she was accommodating my 3 daughters in so many ways. And she knows, Nancy knows, and Dennis knows. Just what she said, what do we do for others? It's a big name. We are all here because they did something, right? We are here because they did something. And this is what we are here for, to do something for others. May God bless you all, Nancy, the family, and may his soul rest in peace for what he has left behind for us to remember him. Amen. Thank you so much.
I can't sing.
Just one verse. I think we have this song in English, but we'll sing it in our language. It's Rock of Ages, but in our language.
We'll just sing one verse.
Just one verse. Wechili, wechakale, confessare mulimwe, umulopa na menshi, yaftuna ningira fie, wechili, wechakale,
Amen.
Thank you very much. That's just beautiful. I always wonder when I go to grave sites and I see the sign born such and such a date, dash, died such and such a date. I wonder what's in that dash. Well, today you could see what's in Dennis' dash. It's amazing. One man, all the way, Africa, Florida, all over the place. You know, he was a funny guy. Whenever I would visit his house, he said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I come to see your wife." He laughed. Anyway, now the grand finale. Let's welcome Nancy Valens.
I'm so happy to see everybody here. My heart is just moved. I look at all these faces, and so many of you are just so precious to me. And I'm going to get through this without breaking down. Claire told me I wanted to give the eulogy, and Claire said, "Are you crazy? Wives don't give eulogies. You know, they don't say anything." But my kids have been telling me, "It's okay, Mom, you can break down now." But I've explained to them, "No, I can't. Not yet. Tomorrow when everything's done. But I want to do this for him." He was very funny, and I think sometimes a sense of humor is essential if you're going to stay married. Because I met Dennis when I was 20 years old, and I thought I was a grown-up. I had my own apartment, I had a job, and I was really delusional to think that I was that mature. But anyway, 6 months later, after I met him, I married him. And nobody told us that we were too young and we were too poor, so we didn't know. And I thought, well, we love each other, so what could possibly go wrong? And anybody who's married more than 10 minutes knows what could possibly go wrong, which is basically anything and everything. We said one time, is there anything that's so insignificant that we can't have a major knockdown, drag-out fight about it? And we didn't really find anything that wasn't that significant. But anyway, I took a couple of notes, but I don't know. I'm so overwhelmed to see my African daughters here. Talia left my house 25 years ago. I never thought I'd see her again. She came all the way from Zambia. And Monje lived with me for 5 years before she went back. She took care of Andrea when I wasn't home and Dennis was working. And she went back to Africa at one point. She returned. She said, "You don't need me anymore." I said, "Just stay here, live here, make money, send money home to Africa." And she said, "No, I need to go back." She had a significant other there, and she had to decide whether she was going to marry him or not. Anyway, I try to be a very honest person. I don't like to lie. And I lied like a rug to the American Embassy. Because I called her and I said, "How are you doing? What do you miss more, us or the All-American meal at McDonald's?" And she said, "Oh, they make French fries where I'm working." I said, "Oh, good, so you can have French fries." She said, "No, I can't afford them." So I hung up the phone and I was just shattered. And I said to Dennis, "We have to bring her back. We have to bring her back. She's hungry." So I called her back. Andrew was standing next to me at the phone. And I said, "Monje, do you want to come back?" And she said, "Yes." And Andrew started screaming and jumping up and down, saying, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." She said, "I can hear him." So anyway, I told a whopping lie to the embassy that of course she would return to Zambia. She would just come as our guest and she'd be back when her visa was up. And she's now an American citizen, so I think God forgave me. But I want to recognize somebody that's in here. Dennis was so proud of him. He's so proud of him. Stand up, Ryan. And just wave and say hi to everybody. And he's with his handsome young son, Hero Quattrell. And Ryan had a really rough start in life, and none of it was his fault. He was just a little kid, and he just touched my heart. And all I can say is, don't ever pray to God and then not accept the answer that comes. Because I prayed and prayed for this child. I was a volunteer at a home, and I told God, "You've got to find a mother for him. Got to find a mother for him." And God said, "You're right. It's you." I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Let me rephrase this prayer. I've got teenage kids, you know. I'm ready to go back to work, and I'm ready to move on with my life." God said, "No. You need to take this child, and he's going to bring blessings to your life." And he did. He brought so many blessings to us. And I've never, ever looked back and been sorry. He is dear to my heart. And Dennis was so proud of him. He's come through so many horrible struggles, and he's made it. He's a good guy. So anyway, so much for my notes. A person that also lived with us for 4.5 years was a man from Sudan. And at one point I got to know him. I met him once at a church function, and he didn't belong to my church. I just met him there. Many of you know Zachary. And I heard through the grapevine he was in Africa and he needed a place to live. He was coming back. So without even asking my husband, I said, "Oh, he can live with us." So I got a hold of Zach and I said, do you need a place to live? And he said, I do. I said, okay, you can live with us. And I went home and told Dennis. And he just accepted it. You know, I was always moving people into the house. It was like, really? you don't know this guy. I said, it's okay. Yeah. And he really came to love Zach. He loved him so much. So he also brought blessings to our home. But I remember some of Dennis's jokes. He looked at me one time, and this is actually not a joke, but it's funny. He said to me, you know, you remind me of Mother Teresa. You're such a wonderful person. You know, you're like Mother Teresa. And I thought, isn't it every man's fantasy to be married to Mother Teresa? And I thought, I'll take that as a compliment because he meant it as a compliment. But I wasn't sure about that one. And another time, I had to have nose surgery because my brother who was sitting here I used to babysit for him. This is my baby brother, even though he's got gray hair now. And I was babysitting for him, and he jumped up. I leaned over, and he slammed me in the nose, and he broke my nose really badly. So I had to have surgery when I was in my 30s to take bone out of my sinus and have my deviated septum corrected. Anyway, Dennis took me for the surgery, and I came out of it. I was fine, but my whole face was bandaged, and I had stuff stuck up my nose so I couldn't wiggle the new bone set. And he was helping me. I was in the recovery room, and he was helping me get dressed. And he said to me, I got to get through this without laughing. He said to me, he said to the nurse, he said, if I'm really, really careful and gentle, he said, and I hold her up, if I put my arms under her, can I hold her up at the stove so she can cook dinner? And I couldn't laugh because I would have broken my nose again. So I'm desperately trying not to laugh. And it gets worse because the nurse turned around and she didn't know how silly he was being. And she said, no, she can't cook dinner tonight and for many nights to come. And I thought, oh, lady, lighten up. But I had a visual the other day, and Claire's not kidding when she said, Dennis is there. He's really there with us. And I wanted so much to do this for him. I was sitting and trying not to fall apart, which I haven't yet. My kids keep telling me, hey, Mom, it's okay. You know, you can break down. We know it's bad. But they don't understand. Werner understood when I was talking to him. I can't break down yet. Not yet. There'll come time for that. Because when you're married 55 years and you lose your spouse, it's like half your body's been amputated. So I have to think of how I'm going to go on from here. And Dennis told me he wanted me to go with him. He took my hand at one point and he said, I love you. I want you to come with me. And I said, I didn't get my invitation yet, and this is invitation only. But I said, I'll come. I'll be there, you know. And I was asking his brother, please, Sean, please come get him. He needs to go play golf. He needs to be out of this body. That's such a mess. But I had, the visual I had when I was sitting, trying not to just fall apart, he went back to when he was holding me up. He was telling the nurse he was going to hold me up. And I felt him come behind me and put his arms around me. He was saying, I got you. I'm going to hold you up. I'm going to hold you up. So I feel him very strongly with me, and he's right. There is no death. It's a transition. It's a change. But the spiritual world is a reality. And as my daughter said, who took a visit there, and thank God she came back, it's a beautiful place. And if you could see it, you'd probably want to go now. So maybe it's better that we can't see it, but we're all going to be there someday. So I'm so grateful to all of you that came here today, and I thank you very much. And I'm glad that you're helping me celebrate the life of my husband. I keep waiting for the phone to ring, too, and for him to say, hey, I'm coming home from Fort Belvoir. Man, Mark beat me bad today. I lost $2. They used to love to gamble, but it would be, if he lost big time, it was $2. He'd say, you know, Bill is working on his game right now, and I'm trying to help him with his swing, and he's getting better. And And Mike, I'm sorry, I used to say, you know, Mike's not a very good player, but he's a lot of fun. He's such a nice guy. I love playing with Mike. So anyway, I guess the phone's not going to ring anytime too soon, but thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy. I tell you, you are a walking saint. You might not be Mother Teresa, but you are a walking saint. And I tell you, you have never cooked anything that was not delicious. I'm telling you. We all would, you know, we would always go to Nancy and Dennis' house during Christmas time because she would cook such incredible meals, and nobody could make this onion, cream onions. Like, oh God, oh man, it's like anyway. Don't stop cooking. We'll be there. We'll be there. We'll set a plate for Dennis. You know, he can soup some from the spirit world. All right, Reverend Warner, it is your moment to say goodbye. This is Dennis' pastor in Northern Virginia, and he will have the closing remarks and the benediction. Flower presentation first. All right, let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Hold on, Pastor. Let's do the flower presentation. This is a tradition that we do at Sangwas. We offer flowers in honor of the honoree that's now passing on into the spirit world. So we have flowers, right? And each of you will have an opportunity. Oh, just the family? Oh, too many? Okay. How about the front row? How about the front and second row? First and second row. Caso, come up, please. Caso, you come up. Lay a flower. Lay a flower.
Everyone else is welcome to come up if you'd like to offer a flower. Just line up. It's just the family is so huge. We didn't know if we'd run out of flowers. Just join the line if you'd like to offer a flower to Dennis. All right. Our pastor, Werner Soibert, is going to close us in prayer. And we're going to rearrange the room for dinner. And we're going to have a special blessing that we will share with all who wish to participate. A blessing for your family. And then we will break bread together.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Parent, true parents, we're gathered here, Dennis, for you. And if you were worried that we would think you weren't here, don't worry anymore, because you are here. Boy, were you here. You're so alive. And what you did, you made us laugh, you inspired us, you touched our hearts, and you made us wish to be a little more like you, which is the point of this moment. In fact, I rarely been part of a funeral or a sangwa where the person in whose honor it is held was more alive and more here than you were. So we thank you for this, and we offer this prayer together. In the name of Jesus, in the name of the true parents, Amen and Adieu.
Thank you. There's a tradition that has come from Korea by our endeared late leader, the Reverend Dr. Sum Young Moon. And at every victory ceremony or a program, we have this closing, and it says, victory, victory for 10,000 years. And we talk to God. When you call God in Korean, it's Hananim. And so I'm going to ask my brother Tom McDivitt to come and give us that closing. And he wasn't expecting this because he's so dignified, and he's the president of the Washington Times, and he might help us here a little bit. Come on, my Lord.
Thank you. Breaking news. We did an obituary for Dennis, the greatest golf coach I ever experienced. It's on page A11, and we've got copies for all the family. So, and all of Washington saw this yesterday. It's published yesterday. Okay. So, thank you. Okay, Nancy, amazing. What an amazing day. And thank you, Dennis. So we're going to do like 3 cheers of hip hip hooray. It's going to be, I'll say Abba Ji, which means Heavenly Father, and you guys say Manse. Is that okay? Real simple. We'll just do it 3 times for Dennis. Abba Ji! Manse! Abba Ji! Manse! Champamanim! Manse! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Andrew has something he wants to share with you.
If you were, on a side note, if you're wondering what that just was, don't worry. My dad, anytime we would do 3 cheers of Monse, he'd always go, "What the hell did they say?" So you're right there with him, living in the true spirit of Dennis. So this is purely practical. No more stories, I swear. So as everybody knows, or anyone who didn't knows now, my dad was an avid golfer. I mean, that doesn't, you know, I think Dorothy said words can't describe. He was just, golf was everything to my dad. So I went through his all his in-use golf bags, and I took all of his golf balls out that had any hint that they had been ever played, and they're all in that bucket. So it's a family first thing, but once the family's gone, all the golf buddies, please take a golf ball. These are my dad's golf balls. All the different brands I saw him go through, he used to talk to me about, like, well, hey, now Noodle's the new thing, man. Like, it's Noodle, now it's, and he played Titleist 1, and then, you know, or whatever, and, you know, I know all about it. If you have a question about when he used the ball, even, I can probably answer it, because, you know, it was big for him. If you don't want a ball, it's totally fine. But, yeah, I mean, we could just do the row thing, starting with the balls. Also, I am going to set up a fake golf hole somewhere on here. My dad wanted everyone he loved and cared about to play golf with him at least once. So if you want to try hitting a golf ball, I have these 2 putters here. These are not ornamental. These are for you to try hitting a golf ball into this fake little hole that I'm going to make. And because nothing would make him happier. Knowing that people actually played golf as a send-off for him would just, it would kill him, no pun intended, you know? So anyway, that's all I got. Thank you all so much, and please take a golf ball.
All right, it's time to eat. Let's break up the room and get the tables. Oh, Randy Francis will tell us how we do that.
All right, good afternoon. So we can all go out those doors on that side, and then we're going to bring in some tables here. So we're all going to do it in this room, but as you're getting your food, then when you come back, the front row will be full of tables. So enjoy it. Thank you.